Hello, I'm Cheyenne.
And I'm Frankie.
And this is Conbini Cult. Welcome to this week's episode. How are you doing, Frankie?
I'm good. It's gloomy today, but
It is.
I don't know. Life is good recently.
Yeah, I know you have a lot of life updates, which we'll get into today.
For once, yeah. I'm prepared.
And you always have like a nice life update, like you went somewhere, something happened. I never have anything. I kind of have something for this time, but yeah, we'll get into it this episode, and the next episode is going to be a very big life update for mostly Frankie, but for me too. I'm happy to share. But
that's true, but we're doing it out of order. So
yeah, that's true, actually.
We're bumping up this episode because we're talking about Overtourism again, and we want that to be more relevant.
That's true.
To the Sakura season. So we're bumping this up. So if you're watching the video version of this, you'll notice that my hair is pink. Yeah. And then it's going to go back to blonde for a few episodes, and then you'll see this pink hair again. Yeah. So don't be alarmed.
No, it's okay. Trick the viewers. Make them think you're just dyeing your hair every episode.
Yeah. Never let them know your next move.
Never let them know your next move. Why pink this season, This season? May I ask? Yeah, this time around.
I just like to dye my hair pink in the spring. I've done it for the past few years.
Yeah, I think even last year, around this time, your hair was pink too, right? It wasn't as bright when we recorded, at least during that time. So it looks so cute. It's more like a fuchsia.
Yeah, I have to wash it a few times for it to get to the color that I want. But yeah, I guess that's the perk of being blonde. You can just dye your hair different colors. I mean, it's not going to be like a pastel pink, but dark pink is very easy to do with my hair color, and it will wash out eventually.
Yeah. I think we had this same exact conversation last year when we recorded around this time, because I was just about to say, like, I wish I could do that with my dark Asian hair, but like we probably covered that already, obviously.
Sorry.
But anyway, no, it's okay. Nice. Very jealous. Maybe I'll...
It's okay. You have melanin and I don't. We can't have it all.
Yeah, but if you've like been watching recently, you'll notice I'm getting like paler and paler, and I'll explain the reason for that like maybe later eventually. But maybe some of you have caught on, but like if you are a frequent watcher, I'm not sick.
Or a listener, because we've given some hints.
Some hints. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But it's kind of obviously it's easier to tell if you're like a viewer, right?
That's true.
And so if you're watching and you're like, is Cheyenne okay? She's just like the color in her face is just like, it's never coming back, or it's like, has she been outside? I'm okay. I'm not sick or anything. We'll just leave it at that. But it's for no scary reason that I'm turning into a vampire. Yeah. But anyway, your hair looks great as always. You got nice nails as always.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
But
what's your life update?
My life update. So in relation to this topic, we can kind of move into it. Recently, my friend from Hawaii was visiting Japan. She visits quite often. I think like if not every year, at least every couple of years. She's probably the person I've seen the most since I've lived here.
To see you, or she just likes Japan?
She just like likes visiting here, and it's really nice of her, because I think we like go way back. We're close friends from high school. We were like on the same volleyball team and everything. Cool. And so we've just been friends for a long time. And I think now the more she's been to Japan, obviously she knows like the layout of Japan more. And so if I say I live in Osaka, she's gonna like know where that is. And if she's in Osaka, like she'll hit me up. Like not this wasn't her, but like, sometimes people are like, hi, like, where do you live? And you're like, I live in Osaka. And they're like, okay, I'm visiting Hokkaido. Can we get dinner? And you're like, oh.
You want to grab coffee tomorrow?
Yeah. And you're like,
I'm
okay.
only in Kyushu right now.
Yeah, like 9 hours away by train.
Do you want to have a coffee?
And so I really appreciate her like always taking time to see me and like making sure, she like checks in and sees like where I live and stuff, but too like kind of being familiar with the geography of Japan. And so it's never like stressful to see her. So yeah, she was here again. This is our third time probably meeting up here, and it was really good. And I guess we'll get into it. So her visiting kind of like reminded me to cover today's topic again.
Oh, okay.
Because it's been a while since we've covered this topic, which is over-tourism in Japan. Yeah. Sorry if you're tired of hearing about it, but or just tourism in Japan in general. Yeah. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no, it's fine. It's an endless topic. There's always new stuff like popping up about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, this it wasn't like her visiting that I was like, I need to talk about over-tourism. It was more like, oh yeah, I like don't obviously interact with visitors to Japan that often or like speak with tourists. So I was like, oh yeah, okay. I want to see like, how's it going for them specifically visiting here again? And if it's changed since the last time they were here, which was like a couple years ago, like I said. And so, yeah. We're going to get into that. My other update is I'm suffering from kafunsho, hay fever, which we've covered probably last year around this time. But yeah, that's about it. So I'll get into that in a little bit. But how about you? What's your update?
I have a couple random things.
Yeah.
So the episode before this is going to be the healthcare one. So I did talk about my thyroid exam.
Yeah.
In that one, I got an ultrasound. They didn't end up having to do a biopsy. They just did the ultrasound. There's inflammation, but they didn't really explain what it is. And they said, according to the blood work and like the antibody test and everything, I don't have hyper or hypothyroidism. I don't have Hashimoto's.
Okay.
So
that's good.
I don't know what to do about this inflammation though. So.
Okay, so they didn't give you like medicine or anything.
No.
They just,
Help me, somebody.
Yeah, so if you've like listened to the healthcare episode, a lot of the main consensus after going, you know, not everyone, but many people going to the doctor in Japan and experiencing it here was like, yeah, you like have this thing, but we don't really know the cause or like just rest or like, you know, there's no specific like thing to not cure it, but, you know, like help it. And so, well, you're part of that group now, I guess.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, there's no immediate danger.
I mean, I'm no doctor, but inflammation, I mean, it just sounds like something it's not good, but like, will it go away? Like, based on their response, I'm going to assume it's not like
hopefully
deadly. I don't know.
Right now, I'm just looking at like an anti-inflammatory diet. So maybe that will help a bit. We'll see.
Ooh, a little bit off track, but on topic with that, what are like some anti-inflammatory foods again? Like,
I have a list on my phone, but I forget.
Okay.
Off the top of my head.
It's okay. It's not that important right now. But I was gonna say, like, because sometimes, you know, like people who are on specific like diets and stuff can be really hard to achieve here in Japan, just because of like, you know, things are very like gluten based or carb based and stuff. So I was curious, like, is it gonna be easy for you?
I'm not following it strictly, but of course, if every day I could incorporate a little bit of those things. I'm sure like berries or something are on there, like certain types of nuts and stuff.
Antioxidants, I don't know. Okay.
Eat healthy. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, maybe don't eat like rice with your noodles together like I do. I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah. You don't do that? No? Okay. No? Just me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind.
Some others might. Yeah. Okay. But also speaking of tourists.
Yes.
So I had a couple family members visit recently for an event, which we will talk about in the future episode. But yeah, so my mom and my aunt were here. They were visiting Japan for the first time. They haven't really traveled internationally too much.
Okay.
So I was a little bit worried about them.
Yeah.
I was worried about the food too, because my mom is a pescatarian. So she eats fish, but she doesn't eat meat.
Okay.
And then my aunt is kind of the opposite. She will eat meat and everything else, but no fish. Doesn't matter if it's raw or cooked.
Oh, and is that a dietary thing or is it just like a personal preference? Like it. Okay. Yeah. Fair. Sure.
Yeah.
But it sucks they're like the total opposites with that. Yeah. So
yeah, but it's kind of helpful because if one doesn't eat it, the other can take
just
it.
Eat it for them. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but they ended up eating a lot more. They tried a lot more stuff than I expected.
Yay.
My mom ate all the fish stuff. She even tried takoyaki. So,
okay, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. And then there were some funny moments from them visiting.
Yeah, I'm so excited to hear. Please tell me.
I had those coffee things that already has a filter in it. It's like a single-use thing.
Oh, okay, yeah, like not a disposable coffee, but I know
like a single-use, one-time pour-over thing.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I got some of them for them, expecting them to wake up before me. So I'm like, okay, I don't need to
brew
get up
coffee,
and grind the beans and stuff. You guys can do that on your own.
Yeah.
But one morning, my mom was looking for the sugar. Okay. So the sugar that I use at home, it's like raw cane sugar.
Yeah.
So it is it's a tan color.
Oh, okay.
The powdery substance. But she found a jar of something else that looked similar. So you know what she put in her coffee?
Tell me.
Dashi.
Oh.
Dashi is like fish stock or kelp or whatever
it's
you
not
use to make
for
it.
coffee. It's not a good combo. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't awake when this happened, but my aunt was like, yeah, she took a sip and she was like, "Bleh, what is this?"
Okay, I was gonna say, like, when did she notice? Like, were you there to be like, oh no, or did she like find out too late?
She took a sip and she was like, "What is this stuff? It was really gross in the coffee." Like, yeah, because it's meant for soup, not for coffee.
What a nice calm reaction, though. It's essentially the same as like replacing your sugar with salt, right? And she
That's what I did, yeah.
Oh yeah, right. We did talk
really
about
did
this
that.
before. Yeah, I guess it runs in the family then.
None of us know what sugar is. Yeah, they also noticed a lot of the household products. Like we have some refills. For example, there's a dish soap dispenser.
Okay,
and we just refill it with the liquid.
Yeah,
but I didn't even notice a lot of these things. But so many of them have random motivational quotes. On them,
like in English.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the dish soap dispenser, it says, "If you don't like the road you're walking, start paving another one. After all, tomorrow's another day."
What does that have to do with washing your hands? Okay.
Nothing. So
okay.
They were like, "Wow, your stuff at home is just so motivational." Okay.
You're like manifesting and like just doing motivational quotes. You actually live in a live, laugh, love home and like didn't even know.
I didn't know it until now.
Yeah, I didn't know that aesthetic was in Japan. Okay.
Yeah. They loved the bidets on the toilets.
Of course. Yeah.
They also liked, in my house, I have those, those flower-shaped gels that you put in the toilet,
in your toilet, yeah,
to keep it clean. They brought some of those home. They loved those.
Nice. Wait, I don't use those. So like, are they for scent or is it like a cleaning solution or both? I guess. Okay.
Yeah. But once they start, because eventually you keep flushing the toilet and they kind of fade. Yeah. They look a little bit gross as they look so nice at first, but then they start looking kind of nasty.
I was gonna say like, okay, wait, before, because I'm totally fine with stuff like this, but I won't get into it if you're not. Oh. Are you comfortable talking about like number 2? Poop? Okay, so like,
it might get stuck on the flowers.
I was just gonna say, like, as an explosive shitter, as someone who just like, has an upset stomach sometimes, I can only imagine like those flowers not looking like so pretty after like, both my partner and I go into the bathroom. And so like, are they like that? Not cute. They are cute, but like, how do they hold up, I guess? So I guess you just answered my question.
You would just have to take a look at the bowl after you're done to see if everything flushed. Yeah,
the flowers literally like starting to wilt in there. The flowers are dying. You're like, okay.
Oh, what happened in here?
Well, okay, fun. I'm glad they like those. That's actually like a cute, fun, useful omiyage souvenir. I feel like I'll keep that in mind.
It has refills too.
Okay, I'll bring that for my mom next time. Okay.
Also, so my aunt forgot her dress shoes for the event that we went to. Mm-hmm. So she had to buy another pair here. But the issue is that she is a US size 10.
Dang! Yeah, she is pretty tall. Your family's really tall, actually.
Yeah. Not me, but they are. Yeah. So she was like, "Can we go to a shoe store and like get some new shoes?" And I'm like,
good luck.
They don't really have clown shoes. Just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah. I mean, of course, some people here might have bigger feet, but it is really difficult to find larger shoes, like over a US 8.
Yeah, and especially like things like dress shoes and stuff too, and sandals. Yeah.
Yeah. That's about 24 and a half centimeters.
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah, that's true. What is the store called? So I know like what are the stores in the US for like, they have bigger sizes and stuff, like there's a big and tall, or like maybe it's called Joann's or something. I don't know. There's like stores that have like specifically, for larger shoe sizes, or like for taller people and stuff too. Yep. That kind of store exists here in Japan. And I know because like I have a couple of like foreign friends who, they have to shop there, especially for suits and stuff, because it like, normal, quote unquote, like standard Japanese sizes just aren't that long, And so I can't remember that name, but I was just wondering.
Izumia has bigger sizes.
Is that what it is? Yeah, maybe it's that. Because I was just thinking
in clothing
like,
and shoes.
I know that exists for like suits and stuff, mostly for men, but I was like, is there something for women? And if we knew, that would have been good to inform you guys, but don't even know. So never mind. But.
Yeah. I also looked on Reddit and they said that store Oriental Traffic.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Questionable name.
Yeah, the name I'm always like, okay.
Yeah, I told my aunt there about that store, and she was like,
what? What is that? Like, are we still allowed to say that word? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, apparently they might have some bigger sizes in shoes as well. And also Amazon, of course. So we did end up getting her a pair of ballet flats on Amazon.
Okay.
And then they were too big. So
of course, they were like, you want big, we'll show you big. They just sent over the next size.
Yeah, so what we had to do for the wedding, so I found these microphone covers for a mic that I no longer use. So
I was
covers.
like, these ones? They've been in your aunt's shoes. Yeah, I'm like,
No, they're bigger than this. Okay. But she put them around her toes and then trimmed them a little bit, and then she wore them for the wedding.
She truly like MacGyvered that. Yeah. Oh, did you get a picture? That's kind of funny to see. Like, she's got a little styrofoam around her toes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you found a workaround and everything went well. It seemed she wasn't like hobbling around, because I was also at this event. She wasn't like hobbling around. She didn't look like in pain or anything. So that's good.
Very comfy. It all worked out.
Okay. And good.
Yeah. Overall, they really enjoyed the trip. They loved it.
Yay.
So.
Sorry, did you mention how long they were here for?
About a week.
A week, right?
I think 7 or 8 days.
Yeah. And would you say that's like a pretty decent time to visit Japan for the first time at least? Like, is that enough, or is that kind of like too, I wouldn't say nothing's too long to visit a place, but.
Maybe about 10 days would be good.
Okay.
But also, because I had to be with them the whole time, they weren't really going off on their own. So for my own peace of mind, I was like, 8 days is the max, please.
Yeah, it can always be like exciting and stressful when like you have to host, people. And so, yeah, my sister and hopefully my little brother plan to come this year to visit me. And it's going to be their first time, I think, out of the US ever. And to Japan, of course. So I'm so excited. Hopefully they can come. Yeah. Okay. So those were our... Oh, no, we have one more update.
One more little update.
Yeah. Okay, you want to get into it?
Yeah, so we started to upload short form content, like clips of the podcast. Woo! We have a TikTok. We have an Instagram.
Yeah.
We've got YouTube Shorts going.
Yep, we're all over there now. So please go ahead and check that out. What is our username for all of those?
Conbini Pod or Conbini Cult.
Yes.
I think I have to wait to change it on TikTok.
Oh, yeah, it's still
like a 30-day limit or something.
Oh, that's so long. Interesting.
I have a timer set.
Okay, good.
Like a calendar
change it right
notice.
Away before it gets like taken. Whoever else is doing Conbini Cult podcast.
It.
Yeah. So please go ahead and check us out. It is, we're doing all of the short form. Well, Frankie is posting all of the short form of like, episodes from like, what do we have up there now? Like from 5 and 10, I don't know, like way back
all
almost.
Random things.
Yeah.
It's a mix.
It is a mix. So we're going out of order and stuff, kind of just like uploading, things we find. Frankie finds here and there. I've suggested like one clip and I'm very sorry. I'll be better about
I used
that.
it.
Thank you, yes.
Yeah. I mean, Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to start with random silly things.
Yeah.
To immediately go into, because, short form content, people are not seeing it in context. Mm-hmm. So if you just randomly go into it with like really dark stuff, I feel like that's not going to end well. So I'm starting with silly stuff.
Off light, Give the viewers a little taste before we just like shove some serious stuff down their throat. But speaking of serious stuff and like, viewing things out of context, we've also received some like lovely hate comments as well.
Of course,
as people on the internet do, and that's fine. Thank you for the engagement. But that comment also was like probably viewing things out of context and making a comment about like
what was it, like, you guys are boring. Woo! You should talk about serious stuff in Japan and not stupid Reddit stories.
And hey, if you know us.
Little do they know.
We have like deep dives on very serious stuff. The reason why we're like doing lighter topics these days is because it got a little too serious for a second, but we're going to go back, of course. But anyway, thank you for your viewership and for commenting. But check it out.
Yep.
They're very fun to watch and fun to like look back on as well. Okay. But anyway, to get into today's topic, so our updates are mostly about people visiting us and on the topic of tourism.
Yeah.
So like I said, the topic I chose for today was an Overtourism Part 2. And so, obviously visitors to Japan aren't stopping anytime soon. If anything, it's just increasing since the last time we talked about it, which was in November of last year.
It might have been over the summer. I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't.
It was a while ago.
Maybe. I feel like we were talking. Okay, so we did have a summer episode, and I remember because I was like wearing a tank top in the episode. So I was like, okay, summer. I think that was our like, don't do these things in Japan. So it was very focused on just like bad behavior, I think, in Japan.
But there was
and then
also
we had
an
overtourism one, which according to our notes, we finished the notes in like November. So I'm going to assume it was uploaded like November, if not maybe early December-ish. So it's been a few months from now. And so I wanted to see like, how are things changing? You know, it's spring in Japan now. Lots of
crazy time.
You know, it's a very, very, would you say this is the busiest time for visitors to Japan? Yeah.
Yep. Cherry blossom season.
Yeah. Exactly.
Everybody and their mama are here.
Yeah. To see those dang trees. And also it's just weather-wise, you know, it's not too hot, it's not too cold. It's a wonderful time to visit and be outside in Japan.
It is.
Besides hay fever. But
True.
Anyway, I just wanted to talk about it again, just see like how things have changed, if they have, and yeah, all of that stuff. Our disclaimer, as always, we're not like here to dunk on tourists or talk about it. Maybe we're gonna like talk about some problematic behavior, as always, because that's still happening.
Of course. It's inevitable.
Yeah. So
unfortunately.
Yeah. So we're going to bring up a couple of, you know, examples of bad behavior that are different from the last time, unfortunately, that we covered last episode, and then just kind of more get into some statistics and just see like what locals kind of feel about the tourism situation, and in Kyoto specifically, I'm going to talk about a video.
Yep.
And then read some articles because there's some like statistics about what the government is doing or plans to do. I don't really know if it's happening
Concepts
or not.
of a plan.
Yeah, well, we'll kind of like see about that. And yeah, that's it. So I just wanted to first get an idea, like how many people were here this year so far? Because we're recording this in what's the date today? April 13th? Yeah. And so
2025.
Of 2025. And so when you think about it, it's only 4 months into the year, right? Yes. So I was curious, like how many people have already come in 2025? Yep. So I did my little Google research.
Yep.
And so tourism predictions for this year, just in January of 2025, there was a record-breaking 3,781,200 international visitors that arrived in Japan.
That's crazy.
Which is a 40.6% year-over increase. And the reason for that, specifically in January, I think, has to do with Lunar New Year. So there was a lot of visitors coming over from China, specifically here. And so compared to last year, there was just a huge boost in tourism, especially from like Asian tourists. Yeah.
But that's February as well, right?
Yeah.
Maybe kind of end of January, early February.
I'm going to say that, yeah. So, I mean, people were just coming over that span. So I don't know if that January 2025 is just, you know, people obviously landing in here and then staying throughout the early February period. Yeah. But the visitors were mostly from, you know, like South Korea, Taiwan, Australia, and then for the Lunar New Year, as we said, like China as well. But if you would like, we can skip that if you want to read the projections.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
JTB Research and Consulting estimates that Japan will see 40.2 million inbound travelers in 2025, a 108.9% increase compared to 2024, and a 126.1% increase compared to 2019.
Yeah. So obviously those are some record-breaking numbers.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah. And I didn't know this, but the thing I looked up, it says that January 2025 marked the second consecutive month with a record-breaking number of international visitors, following December 2024's 3,489,800. That's a big number for Elmo.
Yeah. I'm so curious to see the March and April numbers. It's got to be even more than that.
Worse. I mean, sorry, not to be negative and say worse, but like, yes, higher, of course. Yeah. And so I wanted to see, you know, like other information about this. And so I found an article by Kyoto News. I think we're just going to read all of it. It's quite short, right? Okay. So the title is, 30% of tourists to Japan experienced over-tourism problems in 2024. So I know we're kind of going back to last year. But yeah, even the tourists face problems. So if you would like to read.
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay. Over 30% of foreign tourists in Japan experienced problems associated with over-tourism during their trips in 2024, and more than 60% said they are willing to accept higher charges as a way to ease congestion and protect natural and cultural resources, according to a recent survey.
So the survey of 7,796 foreigners about their travel plans and experiences, jointly conducted by the Development Bank of Japan and the Japan Travel Bureau Foundation and released in October, found that congestion of tourist destinations was the most common problem, with 32% of respondents saying they experienced it during their stay.
The result compares to 30% in the 2019 survey conducted before the COVID-19 pandemic. The second most popular response in the multiple answer question was bad manners, such as littering and entering restricted areas.
Yeah. And in the survey conducted online from July 8th to July 18th on individuals aged 20 to 79 across Asia, Britain, France, and the United States and Australia, 63% said that they would accept higher charges at tourist destinations and other facilities in Japan if they would help ease congestion and protect those cities, up from 43% in 2019.
The survey also showed the potential of rural tourism, with 97% of respondents who have visited or plan to visit Japan expressing interest in going to regional areas of Japan, but less than 10% of them actually having traveled to such places.
Yeah, and so among those who have plans to visit Japan, 72% want to see the upcoming 2025 World Expo in Osaka. Ooh. So of those wanting to see the event, 42% said the expo would be the main reason why they travel to Japan.
Wow.
And yeah, so that was something I totally forgot about, which is kind of funny because we both live in Osaka. It's happening this year. So to just give a little spoiler, I actually want to do an episode in the near future about the Osaka episode. I think that.
Oh, really?
The Osaka episode. The Osaka Expo.
Oh.
Because I feel do you know what it is?
No, they've been advertising it for years, but I'm like, what's happening?
And I have no idea what it specifically is. And all I know is that the last World Expo that took place in Japan was also in Osaka at Banpaku Koen. That's where you see the big statue of Taiyo no To.
That's why they call it Expo 70 Park.
Yeah, and so
commemorative park.
Is it 1970 or 1974? I don't know. Anyway, in the 70s. And so my partner, he was like, why don't you talk about that? Because he knows what it is. He says.
Let's bring him on.
yeah. But he's like, yeah, that would be cool to talk about. And I'm like, yeah, cool. I just need to know what it is. And he's like, let's go. And I'm like, okay, but what is it? I don't know. What it is. I've never heard of this event before, which maybe you're going to comment and say you dumb American girls. I don't know. But the World Expo, I guess. So the last one it takes place every 5 years.
Oh.
I cannot tell you off the top of my head where the last one took place 5 years ago, but
okay.
But yeah, that's okay. The next one is happening here in Osaka, and I kind of should have thought about that when I was thinking about why there's so many tourists this year already, and especially if you are around Osaka, there's a lot. And so I was like, okay, that's interesting info. But anyway, it was interesting to see from this article that there was a quite high percentage of tourists that were willing to pay more for facilities.
Yeah,
if it meant
that's good.
Because we talked about this in, I think, the Overtourism episode last time.
Yeah.
Where we
that's tricky because how do you distinguish who is a foreign tourist and who's a foreign resident? Unless they have some kind of local discount, as you mentioned, like they do in Hawaii.
Yeah, I think I feel like it's just easier to distinguish locals more because you're okay, just show me your Japanese driver's license or show me your residence card or whatever.
Yep.
And then anyone who doesn't have that just has to pay a tourism price or something. I don't know. I feel like in Japan, it's pretty easy to distinguish who is a tourist and who is not, though. Mostly not on looks all the time, but maybe just language wise too, or I don't know, maybe they can just ask too. But if you have, I feel like any foreigner living here would be super stoked to be I'm a local and show their ID card anyway. So I don't know. I'm happy that there was a good amount of people who were willing to pay a higher price as well. But we'll see if that's actually happening and if it's going well.
Okay.
Anyway.
Moving on.
So
Can I say a little disclaimer.
Of course.
Of course, we're going to be talking about some negative incidents that happened with tourists, but neither of us are tourist haters.
No.
It's just, like, this is just bad behavior. if anybody did it, like, stop it.
Yeah, just stop it. And this applies to Japanese people as well, which we will get into
it,
actually. Yeah. So I just, as always, I would like to talk about bad behaviors, not to make fun of these people or to talk poorly of these specific people, mostly just to highlight like, hey, cut it out. Don't like do this stuff anywhere. Like it's not like a Japan specific thing.
Yep.
The first one I wanted to get into that happened probably recently over the winter was, have you seen this video of a Japanese man, and I believe he's Australian, I'm not sure, fighting at a ski resort?
Yeah,
and
I have seen it.
Do you recall like what the issue was or why they were like getting into it?
Yeah, so there was an Australian, I think they were a couple. It was a man and a woman.
A man and a woman.
So the lady was smoking in an area where you're not allowed to smoke. But the Japanese man kind of, I mean, we're not seeing the full context of what happened. You only see the confrontation in the video. But the guy runs up to them. He's the one who's filming it, by the way, the Japanese guy. And screaming at them like, you can't smoke here. Stop it. And they're like, you don't have to yell. Like, I didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so it's one of those things like, not to like immediately come to that Japanese guy's defense, but like I get where he's coming from because like sure, it's a non-smoking area and like who knows, like especially ski resorts and stuff, that maybe it's like a very touristy ski resort or one with like more foreigners usually. Like
was it Niseko? I don't remember.
I don't know, but maybe Niseko, Nagano, somewhere. I don't know, but I get it if you're like a local there or maybe you've just seen so much of that behavior. You have like a breaking point and he was probably just like, like wanted to just, you know, confront that behavior right away. So I understand the idea. I don't support like the execution of it. Like there were just so many different ways he could have like handled that situation. Like, I don't know, politely telling them like, please don't smoke here, you know?
Yeah, and I don't know if he did or not because you don't see that.
Yeah, again, like
video.
maybe he could have told them a couple of times and they ignored it. We don't know.
Yeah,
but,
we don't know. Yeah. So yeah, of course, I don't agree with the running up to people and screaming at them. But also, you know, if you are a smoker, when you're going to visit places, especially internationally, you might want to look up the basic etiquette of smoking there because Japan there are usually designated smoking areas.
Yeah. And I kind of worry. I didn't want to like dive into the TikTok or in the comments of the TikTok so much because I was like, I always get a little.
Unfortunately,
you did okay. Then I'll ask you a little bit because I'm always scared to see like what kind of comments there are from Japanese people specifically because you know videos like this, like again taken out of context, you can really like put a lot of people might put the blame on the foreigners in the situation because they got upset, like very visibly upset. And like they probably got upset because this dude came out of nowhere and was like yelling at them. Yeah. And he was kind of being aggressive with it where like, I don't remember if he like touched the woman or something, but the man...
I don't think he touched her, but he was very, very close.
Right. And so, and the Australian man was like, he was like, don't come near me or like, don't touch her or something. He was like very like,
I think he said like, don't speak to ladies like that or something.
Yeah. And so like, I unfortunately can see how just that part of the video can be taken out of context. And then there's like some discussion online of like, look at these angry foreigners again, just yelling at us poor Japanese about like, you know, things they're doing wrong or something. So I didn't go into the comments because I didn't want to see it. I know that was probably what was going to happen. And so you did.
Yeah.
You see anything?
It was mixed from both foreigners and Japanese people. Yeah. I think they were on Instagram. It was a little more like, we don't need to yell. Like, we understand his frustration, but we don't need to yell.
Let's use our indoor voices.
Yeah. And then on TikTok, it was more leaning towards like, close the borders.
Isn't that so wild? Like, depending on the app, like the negativity of the comments and stuff is so different. Yeah. Usually, like, it used to be the opposite where like TikTok was pretty negative and then Instagram was like kind of more understanding but like now sometimes when I open Instagram comments not just about stuff like this, about like random stuff, like people are so angry there. Like and so okay, well anyway, we're not going to get into who was right or who was wrong. That was just one of the things, like Frankie said, if you're gonna smoke, just do it in the right place. And if you're going to like confront someone about like correcting behavior or telling them where to do something, you don't have to yell about it at first, at least, you know? So let's all just be peaceful. But anyway.
All right.
Moving on.
What else we got?
Yeah, the second one I wanted to bring up, because again, we said it's springtime, cherry blossoms and all of that, they're everywhere. And so with that, an influx of tourists are obviously coming to, you know, see the flowers and stuff. And as we've discussed in the past, and is always like around TikTok and stuff, unfortunately, there's a lot of videos and stuff out there of people shaking the branches to get like aesthetic videos of the petals coming down, or like picking the flowers directly off the tree, you know, or, you know, doing other kind of behavior like that. I came across a video of, do you remember in our street interviews episode, they're called Tokyo Sims?
Yeah.
Okay. And so it's these two guys, they're Japanese. They like live in Japan, and they conduct interviews in Shibuya mostly. And so these two, I don't want to say got caught because they posted it publicly, but they posted a video of one of them like doing pull-ups on the branch. Yeah,
they like jumped up onto the branch with both hands and like pulled their feet above their head. I don't know what you would call that move.
Swinging
swinging
around,
I don't know.
like just climbing the tree. Like they were just like climbing all over the tree and pulling themselves up on it and stuff. It's just like, we don't do that. I'm not Japanese, but like, even if I was, I probably wouldn't do that either. I don't know. And so they posted that video, and then immediately they got like torn to shreds by Japanese people, of course, and then like by foreigners, but mostly Japanese people. Yeah.
But it was not only those two in the video. I think there were 4 people, maybe 5. Yeah.
Which dudes doing dumb stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Everyone does dumb stuff. So they posted that, immediately got backlash, for it.
Yep.
They deleted it really quickly because I couldn't find the original video on TikTok. Yeah. And then they issued like an apology because they are kind of a big public figure by this point they, for their interviews and stuff. So they issued an apology, and they really like, you know, like acknowledged the fact that as Japanese, like, they should not have like done stuff like that. And so, I mean, I do appreciate the apology and like the quick response to it. So I'm not gonna like beat down into like this one so much, but again, don't follow this behavior. Obviously you see how it went for them, and so I don't think I need to tell anyone to like not climb the sakura trees or whatever.
Yeah.
But have you seen that? Yeah.
I have seen it, but I think the issue with that is now, because I've seen other people reposting about it recently, also in Japanese too, but a lot of the articles or the videos or whatever, it says gaikokujin influencer, foreign influencers.
Yeah.
And they were not all foreign.
Yeah. If anything, I know the main guy, Cole, he's like half Japanese. So he's Japanese.
But he grew up here.
Yeah, he's Japanese.
And then the other guy who does the street interviews is full
Japanese. Yeah. So that's really unfortunate how the Japanese media is like already spinning it. Like, look at these like foreign influencers when it's like, no, these are your people. Like, you know? So that's like the one thing that's kind of upsetting for sure.
Yeah. Maybe some of the friends that did it too were foreign. So they
not sure. Yeah. Again, they took that video down real quick, so I couldn't see like a clear original video of it. But again, so that's some of the other bad behavior I've seen and like brought up for today's episode. But how about you? Have you seen anything else?
With the sakura trees?
Sakura trees are just like bad I don't want to say bad tourist behavior, but like bad behavior in general. We can get to this guy later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing that I've personally witnessed, but just a couple things I've seen in the news recently.
Yes.
So there is in Nagasaki Prefecture, there's a shrine that I think they show it in the video game Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, but so this shrine, it did suffer damage from a natural disaster, and there was crowdfunding from fans of the game to kind of repair the shrine and like pay for the damages caused by the natural disaster. Might have been a typhoon, I don't remember exactly. So there's also been a lot more visitors recently, fans of the video game and stuff. But apparently from bad behavior from visitors, like smoking, littering, spitting inside the shrine grounds. At least one one tourist was found riding a mountain bike through a restricted area, and the shrine also claims that tourists have stolen omamori, the good luck amulet charms that are sold by the shrine. So because of this, they wanted to ban pretty much all visitors except people actually going to the shrine to pray or to worship there. I don't know if it has just been misconstrued to say they're banning all foreigners, because from my understanding, the things I was reading, it was like any non-worshippers.
Yeah. How would...
And also bus tours.
Yeah, I mean...
Which,
Okay,
fair.
sure. But like, how would you distinguish that, I guess? Do you just go there and you're like, I am here to worship? Like...
Maybe you just don't let people film anymore.
I see.
Yeah. Because that would... Some people might be like, well, I can't film, so I'm not going to bother going. Maybe.
Which, like, yeah, those people exist, right? Sure, don't do that then. We don't need to see you there anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was also... there's this really beautiful temple in Hiroshima. It's on a cliff. And then as you're walking along to get to the main shrine of the temple, it's really beautiful. You can see the sea. And you're literally on a cliff. Yeah. But it was, of course, a very popular spot for pictures and videos and stuff too. Yeah. So I first visited in 2023. It's very quiet, nothing going on, beautiful views. But I went back there in October or September last year. Okay. And then I saw there were signs everywhere. So it kind of...
I mean, yeah, if you...
It kind of... Yeah.
For lack of a better term, ruin the aesthetic. But like, I know what you mean. No one wants to like look at the view of something that's just covered in signs. Yeah.
The signs were about not flying drones, not blocking worshippers, not leaning on the rail, because it could literally break and then you're going to fall off a cliff. Yeah. I don't think anybody fell off the cliff.
Well, I mean, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Oh, man.
And I mean, I am a content creator. I have filmed at this place, but come on, I do have basic decorum. Like, but I guess not everybody does.
I mean, speaking of drones and decorum, have we talked about like, flying drones and stuff in Japan? We've probably like touched on it, right? But
as a drone pilot myself.
Ooh, she's a pilot, y'all.
Yeah. But it's very easy to, I mean, there's apps that have drone maps. Yeah. Also on, at least like with DJI drones, it doesn't even let you go in the air if you're near an airport or something.
Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead, continue. No.
What's funny?
You said DJI?
DJI,
right? Which is the company, the camera company, right?
Okay. What were you thinking of?
Well, I heard DJ, and then I was like, DJI drones, like DJI. I was like, who?
DJ Khaled.
My TikTok brain just like went to like, I don't know, DJ Khaled memes. I'm a millennial, sorry. But sorry. I just like misheard what you said. Okay.
Yeah. Also, you can just quickly Google, can you fly a drone in this place?
Yeah. I mean, I don't own a drone. I don't know how to fly a drone, but like, just don't. It's so obnoxious. Like, let's be honest. Drone footage is beautiful. And like, if you're flying them in the appropriate places where they're allowed, sure. But like, they're kind of, maybe it depends on the drone. I don't know. But like, they're kind of noisy. Like they make like a buzzing sound because they're like flying in the air and stuff. And sorry, comment or tell me to shut up if I've talked about this before, but like I went to Arashiyama pretty recently.
Oh no.
A couple of months ago, and there was a drone there. Someone was flying a drone over Arashiyama. And I took a video of it because I was like, don't be this guy. And I was like, what's going on here? But like, stuff like that. Don't do it.
Yeah. But I think the drone rules are pretty obvious. Obviously, you cannot film in densely populated places and major cities and World Heritage areas.
And like Arashiyama too, it's stacked like to the, obviously to the sky with bamboo and stuff. It just doesn't seem like the easiest to like navigate a drone or the safest for the nature, for the bamboo and stuff. And like, what's going to happen to you if your drone gets like caught in the bamboo or whatever. But anyway, so can't stand those. All right.
Another very interesting, like kind of bizarre incident.
So excited to hear this one.
So an American tourist was arrested for, quote, accidentally packing a handgun into his luggage.
Sure.
So we're going to quickly read this article. It's very short.
Okay.
We can popcorn it.
So
take it away.
Thanks. The Hyogo Prefectural Police said Wednesday that a U.S. tourist was arrested after he reported that he had inadvertently brought a handgun into Japan.
The 73-year-old was arrested on March 24th on suspicion of possessing a revolver at a terminal building at Kobe Port in Kobe, Hyogo Prefecture on March 23rd. Police have already sent papers on the case to prosecutors.
Hyogo police believe the handgun slipped through security procedures at Kansai International Airport in Osaka Prefecture.
The man has said the gun was for self-defense and that he had packed the firearm by mistake.
According to the police, he flew from an airport in Hawaii. Oops! On March 23rd, he notified a crew member of a cruise ship that he was set to board at Kobe Port and that he had accidentally brought a handgun with him after he noticed the firearm in his luggage.
Based on statements, investigative authorities found 3 bullets in a trash can in a toilet at the port's terminal.
While it is true that the man entered Japan via Kansai International Airport, will refrain from further comments due to the ongoing police investigation, an official at Osaka Customs said. Okay, wait, okay. Sorry, I have so many questions. Like, 73, not to be like ageist or whatever, but like, okay, maybe he honestly forgot. Okay, I don't know. Like, sometimes you reach an age where like, yeah, you just like don't think about stuff like that. Okay. Not coming to his defense immediately like that, but like, I don't know. Like, once I heard 73, I was like, okay, sure, you know, but where was I going with that? So he like admitted he had it, right? He was like,
I guess he saw it in his luggage and he was like, oh my God, how did this get here?
So like that kind of makes me believe like, yeah, it could be an accident, you know? Because like people who purposely do stuff like that, it's like once they get caught, they say stuff like that. Like, it was an accident. But if he said it himself, like, yeah, it could be an honest mistake. I don't know. But I'm curious, like, what happened after this? Like, do we have an update? Like,
so the update for that is, so he was arrested. But the update is that Japan prosecutors will not indict him for possessing the gun.
Okay. I mean, kind of dangerous, but also could have been worse. He said he had it. He made a mistake. And if he did, then we'll just keep it at that. But that's crazy. Like, how do you... I'm not a gun owner, so I don't know, like, how you forget something like that. It's just, like, in your possession or whatever, but...
I'm just so... Like, how did it get through customs
at
true. Kansai International Airport?
Yeah, like...
What were the workers doing?
I got in trouble once because I brought, like, a can opener on accident, like, in my luggage. And they caught... It was, like, buried in my bag. And they, like, caught it right away. So, like, how does a gun, like, just go through that scanner thing even, you know, where they check for, like, metal?
Beep, beep,
what
beep,
do you mean? Like, okay.
How did they get through?
Okay.
Well, but the airport officials are not commenting. So...
Yeah, I mean, because they're probably, like, embarrassed that they missed that. Or, someone's getting fired for sure. Okay.
Alrighty. Do you want to...
Oh, yeah. So I wanted to save this one for last for, like, our bad tourism behavior examples. Because, like...
The king of bad tourists.
The king of bad tourists. Or maybe, like, the prince. Because if we're going to factor in Logan Paul, he's probably the king.
Just when I forgot about him.
Right. Like, I forgot, but then, like, did you notice Prime, like, the drink, is in convenience stores around
I saw
Japan?
you post about it.
Yeah, and, like, he, like, owns it, right? Or he's, like, the co-owner. He owns it with, like...
co-owner.
I forgot his name.
I don't
Another
remember.
video game YouTuber guy. Or maybe Mr. Beast is involved, which is also still questionable. But, yeah, he's back.
I think they collaborated.
Yeah.
This is only because I watched Curtis Connor's video about trying YouTuber...
Like food
for a week.
Yeah, and so he's back. Lord Voldemort's back. Oh. But anyway, speaking of Logan Paul, he is obviously the king of bad tourists here in Japan. We don't need to go into that anymore. So I guess
you're right.
The second worst, if we're gonna compare, Johnny Salami. Whatever happened to that dude? Because like hearing about all of these behaviors, I was like, oh well, like remember there was that one guy that like came and streamed himself like yelling at people on the train, asking them about like Pearl Harbor and Hiroshima, and then like punching some people. Or he didn't punch people. He got punched. If not in Japan, at least in South Korea, because people
I think
were
both
like,
places.
Yeah, okay, good for you.
But yeah, he tried the same stuff in Korea,
and he got caught.
Desecrated Comfort Woman statue.
Yeah. Idiot. Yeah.
There was like a manhunt for him. People were like, I'll pay you if you find him and punch him. Like,
yeah, I support that, to be honest.
But I think he's on trial now in Korea.
And so he's like detained in Korea and everything. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Ariana, I know you're watching the
trial. I know. You're kind of the reason I brought this up. Yeah. Give us an update. Post on your stories. Yeah. I get a lot of my news from you. But anyway, that's like the only reason why I kind of like knew he was in South Korea too.
Yeah.
Because of her stories. But yeah, I mean, I'm just glad he's like not here in Japan anymore, but it kind of sucks. He really just brought that behavior over to another like country.
Yeah.
And now they're dealing with that problem. Like, I don't know.
Oh, wasn't there another live streamer in Japan who was throwing snowballs at people and got in trouble for that?
Huh? What do you mean?
Come on.
And I mean, they're like streamers, they're not all horrible, obviously, but like a lot of them, at least because they're streamers, right? It's like all proof there. Like,
That's true.
It's all like caught and recorded, but like I
Caught
feel
in
like
4K.
like so many of them are just so problematic.
Yeah. Well, those are the ones who stand out.
Those are the ones that are like getting
the
caught.
ones who make the news.
And like it's all the kick streamers too and stuff, right? Because like the snowball streamer, this is not the same guy that like went on the women's train and was like, why does this exist
know,
or whatever. I don't know.
Could be, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. They all don't sound pleasant to be around. But anyway, yeah, I was just kind of wondering whatever happened to him, but I guess he's going through trial. So if we have an update on Johnny Salami, we'll let you know maybe. Okay. Was that all of our bad behavior examples?
For now.
For now, yeah. Again, it's only April. We'll probably do like an update later.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was kind of just curious, like, okay, so now we've talked about the bad behavior and just, you know, not personal experiences, but things we've seen on like TikTok and stuff. I wanted to know like I lost my train of thought. Sorry, you could cut that out. I wanted to know just like, you know, some points of views of like other foreigners who like live in Japan here, and then get some point of views of like some Japanese people that live here in Japan as well about the tourism situation. So do you know this creator? I think it's Hannah in Japan.
I do.
Do you know them personally, or you just know them?
We haven't met in person yet, but we talk.
Okay, great. And so
Hi, Hannah. I don't know if you listen to the podcast.
yeah, I watched your video and it was really nice. I just took some like brief notes on it and I wanted to talk about it a little bit. But she mentioned like a great point that like, you know, over tourism, a lot of the problems with it isn't always about bad behavior. There's always like other things that are like, you know, being caused or that are affected by over tourism, which like sometimes as someone who lives here in Japan, you kind of get, I don't know about you, but like sometimes I'll get caught up in that like bad behavior spiral because I'm like, you know, but there's probably other things that should be thought about.
Yeah.
And
well, that's like the loudest problem.
Yeah. Yeah. And so she
literally sometimes.
Yeah, actually but she made a great like visual of, you know, things like how over tourism affects locals. And so I just wanted to like kind of briefly explain that. So she created like a pyramid. And so on the bottom of that pyramid, it's basically one way over tourism affects people here in Japan is that things are getting expensive. And like, like if you notice, like, especially, you know, rising hotel costs, because there's a lot of domestic travel here in Japan too. Like it's so hard to like find a reasonable hotel these days, I feel like. A lot of locals are just getting priced out of maybe their neighborhood or just like around basic activities and stuff. And that leads to like the weakening yen, which is like, I don't know, a whole economics conversation I can't have right now. Okay. The second tier on that pyramid was just like places are getting too crowded, obviously. And so I think, you know, over tourism doesn't necessarily mean bad tourists. It just means that you're just stuck, you know, like in these crowds with them, which leads to the next tier, which was disruption of daily life. And so unfortunately, a lot of places in Japan, like Kyoto, which I'll get into in a second, you know, really rely on like the bus more than trains or like, you know, driving and stuff. True. So if like there's lots of places that are crowded, this leads to disruptions in daily life, which means, you know, like locals can't get to work on time sometimes, unfortunately. And that just makes it inconvenient for everyone. And then the top of that pyramid was damage to infrastructure and facilities. And so I wasn't like too sure what the damage could be, maybe because of like overcrowding and places just getting like littered with and run down. Vandalism maybe
occasionally.
Carving your name into the torii gates at Meiji Jingu Shrine like we talked about before. I don't know, but a lot of places are just being affected by overtourism from all of these reasons, not just bad behavior. And I wrote a quote from her because it was like so like, I don't know, like nice. Like she said, you know, nothing screams boring like the rising cost of living. Okay, like no one wants to bring up those issues.
True.
She said it's much easier to just complain about people shaking the cherry blossom tree.
Yeah.
Us. Yeah.
That's like the tip of the iceberg. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is true. You know, I think like those other points we mentioned are important and really not, I guess, talked about as much. But there was another interesting video I saw. You know this creator, like we've talked about him before, Takashi in Japan.
The interviewer.
Yeah. Do you know this guy? Like, because Frankie's a content creator,
don't.
So I'm like, do you know this person? You don't.
No, he's never interviewed me. Okay. I don't live in Tokyo, so.
Oh, yeah. Is he a Tokyo-based person? Oh, whoops.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for this video, he came down to Kyoto specifically just to talk with locals to see, you know, like how they felt about overtourism. Because, again, there's so many, you know, videos from English speakers or from like foreigners in Japan who feel a certain way about, you know, tourism here. But yeah, there's not so much content in English available to non-Japanese speakers, I feel like, about local perspectives. Yeah. And so he went to Kyoto specifically, and I wanted to just like bullet point some of the answers that these locals gave. And
was this a YouTube video?
Yeah, it's a YouTube video. It's on YouTube. So
because he posts long and short.
Yeah. So this
was a longer video.
This is a longer video I just watched on YouTube. I'm sure he has the shorts of it around TikTok as well. True. But we can link it in the description. But it's like 15 minutes long or something. He gets like into like an in-depth interview with a lot of people, and then he also interviews someone who works in the tourism industry in Kyoto more in depth later. But one, it was kind of like refreshing to hear and like very reassuring was that a lot of the locals in Kyoto, they didn't feel like the main issue was bad behavior, which I was like, oh, thank God. Okay. Yeah, it was just the overall fact that places were like too crowded and they couldn't, you know, do their daily life like before.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And they're very happy about, you know, people visiting Kyoto, and they love that like people were interested in Kyoto as a place and like, you know, the culture and stuff around it. But again, there's just like more people than they expected. So that was kind of like really nice to see. One thing I like never really considered was that business owners, obviously they were super excited, not excited, but like they're very happy. They're not complaining about the influx of tourists because that just means like more business for them. And especially, you know, in relation to like Japan's declining population, sure. Like especially during COVID, I'm sure that was so hard that they didn't have like a lot of
to go from a crazy amount of visitors to nothing.
To nothing and
to
like
none.
And then like also maybe depending where you are in the neighborhood too, like there's just not enough like local people, like local customers to come through. So business owners were like obviously very supportive of the tourism in Kyoto. I was kind of surprised to hear like one obacha, like one kind of granny, she said a lot of them had good manners. So I was like, okay, good. Like, yeah. She said like, I think those people she's referencing though are the ones who are like kind of trying to be hyper aware, like not to be that tourist in Japan. I feel like more people are doing their research and like,
I feel like most people are. So that's true, the sad thing about it. Yeah. Because the ones that behave badly are the ones who like, blow up on social media.
That's true.
But the majority of people are just, you know, trying to be respectful, have a good time.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm sorry if like a lot of like the way this is coming off is like all tourists are bad. That's not the case at all.
No, like I don't think.
Yeah. And so this granny like really appreciated the people who did their research and like who learned even some phrases like sumimasen, you know, like sorry or excuse me and stuff. So she was like, you know, happy about that. And so that kind of like comes back to the question again of like, is the biggest problem of over-tourism actually bad behavior and manners? Probably not, you know? And another granny was like, yeah, even like Japanese people have like really bad manners and etiquette. Preach. Yeah.
It's just human behavior. Some people are polite, some people are rude.
Yeah. So
it is what it is.
It is what it is. So the overall consensus of like many locals in Kyoto were like, we're not mad, like we're not upset by the over-tourism issue. We don't think bad manners are the main issue. It's more just crowding. So we wish there was like better ways to control the crowds, which is a fair
Yeah.
assessment. Yeah. But
That's nice.
anyway, so getting into some measures on like how to, I guess, control the over-tourism situation in Japan. I wanted to look into it a little bit, but like we talked about that fence, right? In Fuji,
The Mount Fuji Lawson fence.
Yeah, so that was like one of the infamous like measures that the government took. Did you know they took it down?
I'm not surprised that they did.
I mean,
because it didn't really work.
Yeah, I didn't like see, for myself, but according to Hannah in Japan's video, she's like, yeah, I think they just like got so much backlash for it, and like it just like obviously wasn't working. She said, she's like,
because people were filming over it,
poking holes in it. Yeah, and she's like, yeah, they just kind of like quietly took it down in the night or something. So it's like
never spoke of it again.
I don't think it was like even a year that thing lasted then, right?
Just a few months, maybe half a year.
And one thing I didn't know too, maybe you did, was like, it's not like people were maybe now because of social media, people were like specifically going to that Lawson. But she said like when you're traveling through that area, like the main bus stop or like the main drop off areas is in front of that.
Oh, Lawson, I didn't like, realize that. I've never been there.
Yeah, which was like maybe at first, which is like why so many people were there in the first
you step
place.
Off the bus,
you step off the bus,
this Conbini and you're like, wow.
Yeah, and then like which I had like no idea. So like obviously with social media and stuff, I know now probably people go specifically for that. But I think at first it was just, you were just there. Like you had no, and then of course it's a nice shot. So.
Oh, speaking of drones, someone did fly a drone at the Mount Fuji Lawson too.
No.
It looked like it was coming out of the store or something. And of course a lot of
like actually they probably set it up.
It looked like an FPV drone.
Okay.
So it was like following the person out of the store. But I don't think you're allowed to film there.
Yeah.
You shouldn't film so close to a shop like that either. But
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know. I forget who it was, but
didn't someone get like, I don't know, mad at you in the like was it you flying a drone and then they got mad at you for flying a drone, or someone was flying a drone in a space they weren't and then you kindly mentioned to them like okay.
This was sometime last year. Okay. Somebody was in Tokyo, in the middle of Tokyo. Yeah. They were flying an FPV drone. Mm-hmm. So that's one where you need the goggles. It's like you're playing a video game. Okay. So
Sorry.
So they were getting very close to Tokyo Tower, but I just left a comment. I was like, hey, did you get permission to do this? It might be nice to disclaim that if you did so other people don't copy you.
Fair.
And then they deleted the comment and then blocked me. So I was like, okay, I assume you didn't.
Yeah.
But I made a video about that on TikTok, and most people were like, agreeing, like check up on the drone rules, obviously. Yeah. But then some people were like, I'm a drone user myself. How do you know they didn't get permission?
I don't know.
What are the chances the Tokyo government would approve that for personal use?
And
when even people making like Hollywood films have to go through so many hoops to get these kinds of permissions. So.
And like you said, it's like I didn't know, which is why I politely asked them and then got blocked. So like that should be the answer already.
True.
But anyway, so
whatever.
I wanted to read an article about like what kind of like actions the government is taking, or at least is trying to take. So we can go ahead and get into that.
Okay.
Alrighty. So this is an article by East Asia Forum. It's not current of like 2025. It was posted in February of last year.
That's true.
So I just wanted to see like, are these things happening? I don't know. What are some ways we can not tackle over-tourism, but help it, I guess. Okay. Yeah, so the title is Japan Takes Action on Over-Tourism.
So somewhere in the middle of the article, we're just getting to the good stuff. As Japan witnesses a resurgence in tourism at the end of the COVID-19 pandemic, a new initiative titled Comprehensive Measures for the Prevention and Mitigation of Over-Tourism addresses challenges related to the new wave of tourism. Its focus is on addressing excessive congestion and etiquette violations, attracting visitors to regional areas, and promoting tourism in collaboration with local residents.
These strategies require examination of their economic impact. It is crucial to weigh the economic advantages of tourism against the potential disadvantages for local Japanese communities.
The strategy encourages diverting tourists from
Sorry.
I can't read. The strategy encourages diverting tourists from buses to railways, particularly in Kyoto, which aligns with the objective of reducing congestion and recognizes the need for alternative transportation modes, but there are challenges due to Kyoto's underdeveloped railway system.
The pilot introduction of hands-free tourism, luggage storage and delivery services that aim to reduce the need for tourists to carry around heavy luggage, shows innovation but lacks specificity on implementation and anticipated impact. Details of the rollout and expected outcomes would help policy transparency. Support for cashless transactions in over 20 regions acknowledges the diverse needs of international tourists, but there are challenges related to cash-only services and language barriers.
The endorsement of Mobility as a Service, a gateway that allows users to plan, book, and pay for multiple types of travel services across one platform, along with ride-hailing apps and smart lanes at airports, show a forward-looking approach but would benefit from exploring broader applications beyond airports.
Diverting tourists from buses to railways seems a promising measure for reducing congestion. Other measures may improve travel convenience but may not address congestion in tourist hubs. Compared to pre-pandemic measures, the new strategy lacks proposals for addressing problems caused by cultural differences, engagement with local communities, and promotion of information campaigns directed at tourists could reduce etiquette violations.
The initiative to promote tourism in regional areas, which seeks to stress the charm of regional destinations and create special experiences nationwide, holds promise in addressing overtourism. The identification of 11 model regions and the emphasis placed on enhancing their core values is one approach. The creation of unique experiences, such as ancient spiritual encounters in Tottori and Shimane, and enhancing the attractiveness of national parks reflects a commitment to preserving natural assets.
So this approach could help to divert tourists to lesser-known regions, alleviating pressure on crowded hubs and redirecting tourism revenue to remote areas. The success of these measures will depend on striking a balance between attracting tourists and ensuring sustainable economic growth for local communities. And so after reading that, a lot of it, like the ideas are great, right? It's kind of like more about the execution.
The ideas,
like,
how are we going to execute?
Like how are we going to execute it? But also like, are they being executed? Because again, this article is from like a year ago, basically. So I'm like, is this happening? And I wanted to ask you personally, because as someone who, you know, whose job it is to promote like more local areas and stuff, like, do you see a change in it? Like, I don't know, like how it works with you. Like, for example, if you get a job to like go to the inaka, like countryside of a prefecture and promote that place, do you get like stats afterwards? Like, hey, we received like X amount of visitors after your video, or like,
not exact stats, but just sometimes I'll get a message after like, oh, we had people like visit and they said they saw your video. Sometimes that happens, but that's also because the interest is definitely there. You see that in the comments of videos, like people really do want to visit these places, but the problem for most of them is still the access. Because not every tourist wants to get an international license and drive here.
True. That's so true, right? I see.
But I think that's going to be a slow change because, for example, in an area where the bus comes twice a day, it wouldn't make sense for them to suddenly have 5 buses like every hour if nobody's visiting. So it'll be a slow change, I think. But the interest is there, so that's good. Okay. That's how it starts.
Yeah, that's true. And again, it's like, I don't know, not to like bring it up almost every episode of like Japan is living in the future and stuff. Because again, it's like they have the ideas, right? Like, you know, the things like the JR pass or like, I don't know, like these different passes you can buy like online and stuff. Yeah. It's like the way it's executed is just so hard as like a traveler sometimes. Like you have to jump through so many hoops and like when I have friends visiting here sometimes I feel so bad because like as a not as a local but like as someone who lives here I just like don't have to think about like, you know, like things like travel or like buying tourist specific like packages or whatever. And so when they ask me like the JR pass was a big thing, like where do they go in the station or like how do they show it or like whatever, I was like I have no idea. And I like looked at the website they were looking at too. I was like how does anyone do anything here? Like even buying tickets for like Disneyland on the English website versus the Japanese website is different, like all of that stuff. And so I think things need to be simplified a little bit more because it is frustrating to have to make an account on this website and then you need an app for this one and not all of it has foreign language support. So Yeah, and like
a lot of the things are there, like regional passes and stuff, but it needs to be a little bit more easier to get the tickets, like access it online or whatever.
Yeah, which is like what the article, but also like what Hannah in Japan was saying too. You know, like there's so many ways we could, and like I think the government specifically is like on the right track. They have the ideas there, but again, it's like the execution is just like still not there, because like clearly the places are still very congested. Like there's no like not that much like smooth operating, for like digital stuff and stuff here. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe by 2026, maybe after the World Expo, people will be like, okay, we gotta.
Yeah, I guess after the expo, we can do another episode on Overtourism.
Yeah,
see what the updates are.
Some suggestions she had too in her video. So she had like great ones. She said, like limiting tour groups and sizes, especially because I didn't know this, but like, for example, when you have these tour groups, she talks about it in detail, like cruise ships, for example, like when they port somewhere, you're just like, you port, you like look around and you're like, okay, cool. But like most people don't buy anything. They kind of just like,
that's the worldwide issue with cruises.
Yeah. And so it's kind of like,
have you ever been on a cruise?
No, never. Me
neither.
I would like to, because maybe it seems like a cool thing to do, like when you're on the boat, because I feel like a lot of cruises are like all inclusive, like sure, sounds fun, and you travel obviously, but I don't know, I also hear the opinion from people like, oh, they're so dirty, or like, oh that's really? like I don't know, there's people who really love cruises and people who really hate cruises. I've never met anyone who's like been on a cruise though, so I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, but so things like that, like the tour groups, like especially if they're not buying anything, they're just taking up space.
That's true.
And so her suggestion was like limiting the amount of tour groups you can like send out daily, or if you're going to keep the same number of like tour groups, limiting the number, like the amount of people within each group, something like that. And then obviously making transportation smoother, which it sounds like the government is trying to do. It's more just like, how can it happen? We don't know. This is something I really agree with. I think we talked about it in a previous episode. She said like having more media that teaches foreigners like how to act and behave in Japan. But she also suggested it should be like really aggressively advertised. Okay. So like getting paid advertisements in like social media. So like it just comes up on your TikTok feed kind of. Okay. Or like everywhere on the train. And of course like on the plane, like in the back, on the screen when you land and stuff. And that's something that I feel like Hawaii has started to do, or is like a suggestion in Hawaii too. Because like we have a lot of regulations and rules about our wildlife and stuff that tourists unfortunately break all the time and ignore. And then another one is just like more incentives for locals who are like visiting or staying at these more touristy attractions and stuff, which like yes, makes sense and stuff. So yeah, that's a really great video. We'll link it as well. She's very fun and informative. I enjoyed watching that video. I learned a lot. But anyway, I had a personal suggestion, but I think it was just covered in that article we read. I was going to say like giving more information on how to ship your luggage. I didn't really like, you notice like how many tourists just have to like drag their suitcases on the train or on the bullet train, and it's like,
I know they have it at the airport, and maybe you could do it from hotel to hotel, but otherwise it might be confusing. I mean even I've never used that service, so I don't know. Like because you need to have your bag packed ahead of time, and I'm a procrastinator, so I have it packed like the second I leave the door.
I'm always curious, like, when people ship it, like if they ship it to the airport, I'm assuming if it's like airport service, like they probably expedite it, right? Because I'm like, well, wouldn't it like take time to get there before your flight? Like how does that work? Again, like
maybe you can pay extra for same day shipping, but I saw my friend, a Japanese friend, we went to the Conbini, and she had her luggage shipped to the airport a day before her flight. Yeah, I mean, because it's not like a same day delivery at all. Like, I've done that. It could be. It could be if you pay for it. It depends on the locations. I guess so, right? If it's from like Hokkaido to the tip of Kyushu, I don't think that you're going to have it the same day. That's true, right? Yeah, and so like, I don't know. And I kind of like thought about this because like I said, my friend is visiting, and I don't know. I'm going to assume it's because she's been here more than once that she just knows how to do this by this point. But she's like, like we want to ship our luggage and we want to use like kuroneko, like or like Yamato and stuff. And I was like, oh, like
you're like the first person visiting Japan that I've like heard suggest that even.
Yeah.
And so, but even still then they like knew you could ship it. They just like didn't really know how either.
Okay.
Like because they thought like you have to go to the Kuroneko like office or like the Kuroneko like what do you call it, like store location and ship it. But
they
like
can come to you, right?
yeah, like they can come to you or like you can do it at the Conbini or something like that. But again, it's more like you need to do it a day in advance, like if you can't get it expedited and all that stuff.
That's why I've never done it.
Yeah, because like I'm kind of scared to just like leave my luggage, not unattended, but like the fear of it not getting to the destination in time is like kind of scary to me. Yeah. But again, so more information about how to do stuff like that, I think would like extremely alleviate at least the crowding situation in trains, because suitcases do take up so much space. Like
that's true.
Especially local trains. And like, I get it. Japan has a lot of great stuff to buy. And so you have a lot of people who have so many suitcases specifically for shopping. And it's kind of like, yeah, if there was a way to just get them out of the way, that would help a lot, I think.
Yeah. I think in Kyoto, you're not allowed to bring large suitcases onto the bus.
Like anymore or ever?
Anymore.
I mean, and that's...
Which makes sense because there's barely enough room for a person to stand. So.
Yeah, I was... to go back to like Takashi in Japan's video, you know, when he was interviewing like locals and stuff, he said one unfortunate thing about like the disruption of daily life over there is like, yeah, sure, like you can be late to work or whatever. But like one big thing to like think about too is we mentioned it, Japan's like rising age population, like what the silver population. And there's so many, you know, like senior citizens here. And a lot of them probably take the bus to go to like their doctor's appointments to the hospital, or like they need to get checkups or whatever. And if you live in Kyoto, again, it's a big bus system. And a lot of them will like be waiting and they can't get on the bus because of like overcrowding. Or like they'll be there and the bus will come and the driver will just unfortunately have to tell them like there's not enough space. Like take the next one. But then the next one is full and then they just like can't go to like things like that. So that's when it's like really an issue too. So
yeah, not everybody can afford to taxi
there. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I hope to see more of these, you know, incentives.
Yeah.
Incentives?
I really hope people spread out more.
Yeah.
Kyoto's beautiful, but there are other beautiful places here too.
Oh, quiz, test. Okay. So as someone who says, I want to go to Kyoto, where would you suggest them to go around Kyoto? That's not Kyoto.
That's a quiz?
Yeah. Quiz. It was more like, do you have any ideas?
I'm confused. So within Kyoto City?
No, like a prefecture that's not Kyoto, like traveling like outside. Kyoto. Yeah, that's like Kyoto or near but not Kyoto.
I know. Well, Kanazawa is a good alternative, but it is also getting more crowded these days because of how accessible it is.
How about like next to Kyoto? It doesn't have the same vibe, of course, but like Shiga Prefecture, would you recommend that to a lot of
Oh yeah, that's true.
Visiting?
Like Omi Hachiman is a nice area, especially for cherry blossoms. It's like there's a pretty canal there.
Yeah, and like is it Otsu Station? It's like 15 minutes from Kyoto Station, I believe, and you can see Lake Biwa over there, like very nice. So again, take your time to go outside of those, what is it? Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto places.
Hiroshima too.
Hiroshima.
The golden route.
But anyway, that's it. We hope you enjoyed listening and watching, and we'll see if there's any updates in the near future if the situation is getting less crowded, I would say. I don't doubt it. Or I don't think so, though.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you for being here.
Yep. Thanks for listening and watching, and catch you next time.
All right. Bye.